Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks and we're ready for our February the 3rd of 2023's lesson, lesson 34 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition. I could see peace instead of this. I could see peace instead of this. The idea for today begins to describe the conditions that prevail in the other way of seeing. Peace of mind is clearly an internal matter. It must begin with your own thoughts and then extend outward. It is from your peace of mind that a peaceful perception of the world arises. 3 longer practice periods are required for today's exercises. 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening are advised, with an additional 1 to be undertaken at any time in between which seems most conducive to readiness. All applications should be done with your eyes closed. It is your inner world to which the applications of today's idea should be made. The inner world, what you see in our mind. And that's where we can say, I could see peace instead of this. Regardless of what you see on the outer world, you can still look at it through the eyes of peace. It's just a matter of whether you value that or not. Some 5 minutes of mind searching are required for each of the longer practice periods. Search your mind for fear thoughts, anxiety-provoking situations, offending personalities or events, or anything else about which you are harboring unloving thoughts. Note them all casually, repeating the idea for today slowly as you watch them arise in your mind, and let each one go to be replaced by the next. So we're kind of keeping this same theme of kind of stepping back and looking at the thoughts of our mind to go by, and we're going to kind of says. We're going to do our searching of our mind for fear thoughts, anxiety-provoking situations, in quotes, offending personalities or events, or anything else about which you're harboring unloving thoughts. You know, love and peace go together. So if you're seeing something that's unloving, that's taking your peace away from you. Note them all casually, repeating the idea for today slowly as you watch them arise in your mind, and let each one go to be replaced by the next. If you begin to experience difficulty in thinking of specific subjects, continue to repeat the idea to yourself in an unhurried manner, without applying it to anything in particular. Be sure, however, not to make any specific exclusions. The shorter applications are to be frequent and made whenever you feel your peace of mind is threatened in any way. So on top of your 3 5-minute mind searching period where you're going to look at unloving thoughts, distressing thoughts, and let them go, and as you let them go, say, I could see peace instead of this, and then go on to the next thought. And then on top of that, 3 times today, you're going to, in the shorter applications, are to be frequent and made whenever you feel your peace of mind is threatened in any way. So you're going to let your state of peace, your internal climate, your feelings about your own calmness guide you. And when that's threatened in any way, you're going to kind of look at it and go, oh, I could see peace instead of this. The purpose is to protect yourself from temptation throughout the day. If a specific form of temptation arises in your awareness, the exercise should take this form. I could see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. I could see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. If the inroads on your peace of mind take the form of more generalized adverse emotions, such as depression, anxiety, or worry, use the idea in its original form. I could see peace instead of this. If you find you need more than one application of today's idea to help you change your mind in any specific context, try to take several minutes and devote them to repeating the idea until you feel some sense of relief. It will help if you will tell yourself specifically, I can replace my feelings of, name them, depression, anxiety, worry, or my thoughts about this situation, personality, or event with peace. So you can trade these feelings of depression, anxiety, etc. for peace. You could see peace instead of those feelings. And he says you say it to yourself repeatedly. Or you could, if it's a thought that keeps coming back, you could say, and this thought about this situation, personality, or event, etc., I could see peace instead of this. All right? I could see peace instead of this. Okay, let's go take a look now in our, we'll come back to that, but let's go take a look at our text reading for today, and we're in chapter 4, The Root of All Evil, section 8, Creation and Communication. And I kind of subtitled that one, How to Praise God. So we'll come back and look at how to praise God here in a little bit. While you're turning there, let me tell you about another pepper. And I'm not going to go through all the peppers of these companies, but I do want to hit a few that I really are pretty common, and that if you're gardening, you may want to at least consider the a bell pepper like we talked about yesterday, the California wonder pepper. Well, here's a real common one, the Pablano, also known as the Ancho pepper. It's a Capsicum annuum, and I'm going to read to you out of the Baker Creek catalog, and it says it's a 75-day pepper, one of the most popular chilies in Mexico. 3 to 6 inch heart-shaped fruit is usually of gentle heat at around 2,000 Scovilles, used green after roasting and peeling. They generally use them green after they're roasted, and after they're roasted, just gently, that skin will just peel right off. It is the classic pepper for chili rellenos. Dried, the fruit turns a rich dark red-brown and may be ground into an authentic red chili powder. So that's your Pablano pepper from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds. All right, let's go take a look now at creation and communication, or how to praise God. It should be clear by now that while the content of any particular ego illusion does not matter, it is usually more helpful to correct it in a specific context. Ego illusions are quite specific, although they frequently change, and although the mind is naturally abstract. The mind is naturally abstract. The mind, nevertheless, becomes concrete voluntarily as soon as it splits. However, only part of it splits, so only part of it is concrete. The concrete part is the same part that believes in the ego, because the ego depends on the specific. It is the part that believes your existence means you are separate. So the ego is the part of the mind that believes that you are separate. So therefore it becomes very specific, very concrete, he calls it, instead of the natural condition of the mind, which is abstract. 95. Everything the ego perceives is a separate whole, without the relationship that imply being, without the relationships which imply being. The ego is thus against communication, except insofar as it is utilized to establish separateness rather than to abolish it. The communication system of the ego is based on its own thought system, as is everything else it dictates. Its communication is controlled by its need to protect itself, and it will disrupt communication when it experiences threat. While this is always so, individual egos perceive different kinds of threat, which are quite specific in their own judgment. For example, although all forms of perceived demands may be classified or judged by the ego as coercive communication, which must be disrupted, the response of breaking communication will nevertheless be a specific person or persons. 96. The specificity of the ego's thinking then results in a spurious kind of generalization which is really not abstract at all. It will respond in certain specific ways to all stimuli which it perceives as related. In contrast, the soul reacts in the same way to everything it knows is true and does not respond at all to anything else. Nor does it make any attempt to establish what is true. So the soul doesn't make any attempt to establish what is true. It knows that what is true is everything that God created. It is in complete and direct communication with every aspect of creation because it is in complete and direct communication with its Creator. 97. This communication is the will of God. This communication is the will of God. Creation and communication are synonymous. God created every mind by communicating His mind to it, thus establishing it forever as a channel for the reception of His mind and will. Since only beings of a like order can truly communicate, His creations naturally communicate with Him and like Him. This communication is perfectly abstract in that its quality is universal in application and not subject to any judgment, any exception, or any alteration. No exceptions, huh? You're in complete communication with God. No exceptions. In the world of the ego or in the world of separation, you may not be in communication with God, and indeed you aren't. But from your perspective as an ego, you might see a difference there. But the soul knows that you're always in communication and always will be. God created you by this and for this. Let's read that again. This communication is perfectly abstract in that its quality is universal in application and not subject to any judgment, any exception, or any alteration. God created you by this and for this. God created you by this and for this. The mind can distort its function, but it cannot endow itself with functions it was not given. That is why the mind cannot totally lose the ability to communicate, even though it may refuse to utilize it on behalf of being. 98. Existence as well as being rests on communication. Existence, however, is specific in how, what, and with whom communication is judged to be worth undertaking. Being is completely without these distinctions. It is a state in which the mind is in communication with everything that is real, including the soul. To whatever extent you permit this state to be curtailed, you are limiting your sense of your own reality, which becomes total only by your recognizing all reality in the glorious context of its real relationship to you. This is your reality. Do not desecrate it or recoil from it. It is your real home, your real temple, and your real self. God, who encompasses all being, nevertheless created beings who have everything individually, but who want to share it to increase their joy. Nothing that is real can be increased except by sharing. That is why God Himself created you. Divine abstraction takes joy in application, and that is what creation means. Divine abstraction, both capitalized. Divine abstraction takes joy in application, and that is what creation means. How, what, and to whom are irrelevant because real creation gives everything, since it can create only like itself. Remember that in being there is no difference between having and being, as there is in existence. In the state of being, The mind gives everything always. Wow, that's why it's abstract and not specific. Paragraph 100. The Bible repeatedly states you should praise God. And there are lots of places where it says praise God, but the couple that really bring it home, the Psalms are full of it, but particularly the last three, Psalm 148, 49, and 150, as well as Hebrews 13, verse 15 and 16. So if you want to just do a little searching from the Bible about it, how it says to praise God, you can go there and look at those. So the Bible repeatedly states you should praise God. This hardly means that you should tell him how wonderful he is. He has no ego with which to accept such thanks, and no perception with which to judge such offerings. But unless you take your part in the creation, his joy is not complete because yours is incomplete. And this he does know. He knows it in his own being and its experience of his Son's experience. The constant going out of his love is blocked when his channels are closed, and he is lonely when the minds he created do not communicate fully with him. 101. God has kept your kingdom for you, but he cannot share his joy with you until you know it with your whole mind. Even revelation is not enough because it is communication from God. Revelation, communication from God. It is not enough until it is shared. God does not need revelation returned to him, which would clearly be impossible. But he does want revelation brought to others. This cannot be done with the actual revelation because its content cannot be expressed, and it is intensely personal to the mind which received it. It can, however, still be returned by that mind through its attitudes to other minds, which the knowledge from the revelation brings. In the last paragraph, 102, God is praised whenever any mind learns to be wholly helpful. There you go. God is praised when any mind learns to be wholly helpful. Remember we learned the other day that helpfulness and harmlessness go together? This is impossible without being wholly harmless because the two beliefs coexist. The truly helpful are invulnerable because they are not protecting their egos so that nothing can hurt them. Their helpfulness is their praise of God, and he will return their praise of him because they are like him, and they can rejoice together. God goes out to them and through them, and there is great joy throughout the kingdom. Every mind that is changed adds to this joy with its own individual willingness to share in it. The truly helpful are God's miracle workers, whom I direct until we are all united in the joy of the kingdom. I will direct you to wherever you can be truly helpful, and to whoever can follow my guidance through you. Wow, and that's a nice knowing. You can kind of relax and know that as long as you're following the Holy One, you'll be shown exactly who to help and how to help them. So there, let me read those last sentence or two again. The truly helpful are God's miracle workers, whom I direct until we are all united in the joy of the kingdom. I will direct you to wherever you can be truly helpful, and to whoever can follow my guidance through you. Okay. All right, let's go back and take a look now at our lesson for today. I could see peace instead of this. So we're going to take 3 longer practice periods for about 5 minutes. Search our mind for unloving, unrestful, unhappy, guilt-laden thoughts. And tell yourself after you see it and let it go by saying, I could see peace instead of this. We're going to, in that mind searching period, We're looking for fear thoughts, anxiety-provoking situations, offending personalities or events, or anything else about which you're harboring unloving thoughts. Note them casually, repeating the idea for today slowly as you watch them arise in your mind, and let each one go to be replaced by the next, saying, I could see peace instead of this. If you begin to experience difficulty in thinking of specific subjects, just repeat the idea to yourself. I could see peace instead of this, and be at peace with that thought. In the shorter applications, which should be frequent and made whenever you feel your peace of mind is threatened in any way, the purpose is to protect yourself from temptation throughout the day. If a specific form of temptation arises in your awareness, the exercise should take this form. I could see peace in this situation instead of what I now see in it. And if you're in, and let's look at that last paragraph. If the inroads on your peace of mind take the form of more generalized adverse emotions, such as depression, anxiety, or worry, use the idea in its original form. I could see peace instead of this. If you find you need more than one application of today's idea to help you change your mind in any specific context, try to take several minutes and devote them to repeating the idea. I could see peace instead of this. Several minutes using that until you feel some sense of relief. It will help you if you tell yourself specifically, I can replace my feelings of depression, anxiety, worry, etc., or my thoughts about this situation, personality, or event with peace. Okay? And you can do this right now as we're closing. Peace instead of this. I could see 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 peace instead of this.